Hello and welcome back everyone. Disney may have all been about the family entertainment, but they were certainly not big fans of monogamy. Disney had granted a license to Sega to produce games using some of their most iconic characters, and the success was there for all to see. But why restrict yourself to one area of the market? So Disney also granted a license to Capcom to produce games using some iconic characters. And the results are, well, different to say the least. The first entry in the series is Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. And at first glance, it's just like any other cutesy platformer. The gameplay is similar amongst all games in this genre. The player must move as in a typical platform game, defeating enemies either by jumping on them or by grabbing and throwing blocks at them. One of the most notable gameplay features of the series is the ability to change characters' outfits, which gives characters different special abilities. Other gameplay elements in the series include the ability to expand the player's health meter by collecting special hearts, and to shop for items using coins that are scattered throughout the game. This game will always be compared to Castle of Illusion for obvious reasons, even though they are two completely different games. But Capcom had to come out big with this one, and I think they failed to make a good impression in my opinion. The visual style is way different to Castle of Illusion. It's not bad, it's just different. But where Sega were able to capture the animated style of Disney very well, I think Capcom missed the mark. The colour palette of the Super NES was vastly superior to the Mega Drives, but it wasn't a colour palette that lent itself well to the Disney style of animation. Mickey looks a bit flat in places. There is less of a glossy sheen to him, and the animation on his walk is nowhere near as impressive as Sega's on the Mega Drive. In terms of the other characters you encounter in the game, they do have this Disney-esque look to them, but there are some questionable things going on with them, like this guy here. What is going on under his garb? I mean, is he happy to see Mickey or something? When I played this years ago, me and my mate spotted this weird sprite and had the usual childish jokes made about it. I guess it's how a 15-year-old's mind was wired in those days. Anyway, let's get back to these visuals. And the background visuals are superb. They do follow a different style to those in Castle of Illusion, and Capcom always seem to do a good job with level visuals in their platform games. Lots of bright colours, lots of detail, and loads of good old-fashioned parallax scrolling to be seen. There is also a fair amount of Mode 7 goodness to be seen in the game as well, which by now was becoming a mainstream in almost every Super NES game, and by now it was being used to good effect, as opposed to being included just for the sake of it. The sounds are much better in this compared to Castle of Illusion. The music has this pomp and pageantry about it, and the sound effects are all top notch. Well, apart from this sound of Mickey jumping, which does get very annoying quite quickly. But it's the kind of thing one would expect to find in a Disney cartoon anyway, so it fits with the theme of the game. The gameplay is slightly disappointing, and for me, this is where the game fails to do enough to separate itself from countless other cute platform games. The ability to change characters was novel, but not really a groundbreaker, and added very little to the game, other than say introduce an incredibly basic element of puzzle to the game. And my opinions on this are clearly in the minority, as magazines everywhere praised this feature. The game was also not terribly difficult to beat. It was frustrating at times, sure, but not terribly hard, and there wasn't any real reason to come back and play through it again. It was just a standard platformer dressed up in a Disney overcoat. And I know that some people might find that a bit harsh, especially as I am not a fan of this kind of platformer, but I am just expressing my opinion. I knew quite a few people who loved this game when it first came out, and I think the magazines loved it too, but to me, this was just another cookie cutter cutesy platformer, and I couldn't see the big appeal. My mate bought this on Japanese import, and this was another one of those games where we couldn't make out what was being said. Was it important advice? Was it instructions? Who knows? But it certainly did not hamper his enjoyment of the game one bit, and obviously I did try it. But I remember being less than enthralled with it, and it was definitely a game I never asked him if I could borrow. But when he was moving house, he gave all his SNES games to me to hold on to, and I did try and play it then a few times, just to see if I could get into it. But he had so many other games that were better in my opinion, and my overall opinion of the game didn't change. And it hasn't changed all these years later. It's maybe ever so slightly better than I remember, but that's not really saying much at all, is it? The game was a success for Capcom, however, and it sold over 1.2 million copies on the Super NES, practically ensuring more games in the Magical Quest series would follow. But those will be videos for another time. And that was my look back at Magical Quest on the Super Nintendo. If you like this video, then please do all the usual comment, like and subscribe malarkey. And I would like to thank everyone who has done so already. Your support really does help with the growth of the channel, and I would like you to know it's very, very much appreciated. And that's all from me, folks. Thanks for watching.